There comes a moment when one more unanswered birthday, one more Christmas in silence, hurts more than staying loyal to the idea of family. There's a kind of heartbreak most people will never experience, but you have. Not divorce, not death, but being quietly, slowly, erased by your own child. Watching someone you raised walk away, without explanation, without conversation, without mercy. From the outside, it looks unthinkable. But for many parents, it has become the silent reality they carry every day. And if this is your reality, hear this clearly. You're not crazy. You're not alone. And you are not automatically a toxic parent just because they left. Carl Jung once warned, "The greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of their parents." Today, we're going to explore what goes through the mind of children who cut contact, not to excuse their choices, but so you can finally stop carrying the blame that was never entirely yours. Why cutting contact happens, the part you never see. Estrangement usually doesn't start with a big fight. It starts with years of one person feeling unseen. Estrangement rarely arrives as an explosion. It creeps in slowly, a comment you meant as guidance. They heard as judgment, a question spoken from concern. They felt as control, a boundary you believed was protective. They interpreted as limitation. Maybe you raised the peacekeeper, the strong one, the listener, the child who held everyone else together, but felt that no one truly held them. And for some, discipline felt like pressure, advice felt like criticism, and affection didn't match the language they needed. But here's what many of you know in your heart. You were the listener. You did show up. You worked hard, sacrificed more than anyone knows, and loved them as best as any human could. And sometimes, you did the best any parent could do. And they left anyway. Jung called this the shadow of the family. The unspoken wounds passed quietly from one generation to the next. But that shadow isn't always yours. Sometimes the pain they carry comes from their own unhealed wounds, their partner's influence, a therapist who heard only one side, or a culture that labels imperfect parents as toxic. Jung's warning, the unconscious family. If you don't heal the pattern, you repeat it. But what if you're being blamed for a pattern you never created? Families pass down more than genetics. They pass down roles, expectations, emotional distance, and unresolved pain. Jung warned that until someone becomes conscious of these patterns, they repeat them automatically. Some adult children genuinely believe they're breaking the cycle by cutting contact. And in some cases, they truly are. But Jung also warned of a deeper danger: projection, blaming the wrong person for the right pain. A mother blamed for the emotional absence of a father. A parent blamed for a wound that began somewhere else, in school, in marriage, or in society. Sometimes abandonment is not about what you did, but about what they cannot face within themselves. Jung taught that individuation, becoming one's true self, requires integration, not rejection. And when a child walks away without explanation, without real conversation, without leaving any room for repair, that's usually not individuation. That's avoidance. The guilt no one talks about. They carry guilt for leaving, but you live with guilt for simply being human. Most estranged children don't walk away feeling triumphant. Many feel guilt, shame, fear, doubt, even if they never show it. They were raised with messages like, family is everything. You only have one mother. Good children don't turn their backs. Jung reminds us, guilt doesn't always mean you did something wrong. Sometimes it means you finally honored your own truth. That's true for children who leave, and for parents who decide they cannot keep begging for love, But here's what many estranged children never consider. Parents live with guilt too. Guilt for things you did do. Guilt for things you didn't do. Guilt for moments you wish you could redo. You raised them through sleepless nights, scraped together money you didn't have, sat in cold stadiums and crowded school halls, and sacrificed dreams you'll never get back. You weren't perfect, but you showed up. You cared. You loved them with a devotion they may not understand until much later in life. Parents' voices. The mother who tried too long. I spent 20 years apologizing for things I didn't do. Every conversation with my daughter left me drained. I finally realized the only way to survive was to stop chasing someone who didn't want to be found. That isn't quitting. That's surviving. The son who had to break free. My father had two moods, silent or explosive. The day I stopped trying to earn his approval was the day I finally breathed. Some estrangements are necessary. Some parents were truly harmful. Not all parents are innocent. And not all estrangements are wrong. The parent who became the scapegoat. My children sided with my ex after the divorce. No matter how I explained or apologized, their minds were already made up. I realized I deserved a life where I'm not constantly defending myself. That isn't abandonment. That's reclaiming dignity. The parent who was rewritten. I wasn't perfect, but I was a good dad. I worked 2 jobs, showed up to every game. After the divorce, my ex rewrote our history. Now my children won't even return my calls. I'm grieving people who remember a version of me that never existed. That isn't growth. That's a quiet kind of tragedy. If any of these stories echo your own, please know, you are far from alone. Share your experience in the comments, not just for yourself, but for the parent reading at 2 a.m., wondering if they're the only one. Your story might be the one that gets them through tonight. And if these words bring clarity or comfort, consider subscribing. This channel is for you, for those healing after 60, navigating estrangement, and searching for peace in the chapters no one prepares us for. You don't have to do this alone. The difference between boundaries and abandonment. There's a difference between protecting yourself and punishing someone who genuinely tried to love you. Healthy boundaries sound like, I need space right now. I can't discuss that topic. Let's keep conversations respectful. I need you to accept my choices. But abandonment looks like total silence, blocking without warning, no dialogue, no explanation, no chance for repair. Jung said, when 2 personalities meet, both are transformed, but only if they truly meet. You cannot fix what they refuse to name. You cannot apologize for what they never explain. You cannot heal a relationship they will not allow to exist. Many parents would gladly respect boundaries, if only their children could express them, instead of disappearing into silence. What healing looks like. When your child abandons you. Healing is not a moment. It's a series of quiet, courageous steps. Not dramatic, not glamorous, but real. 1. Reparenting yourself. Give yourself the compassion your child withholds. 2. Releasing false guilt. You weren't perfect, but imperfection does not deserve abandonment. 3. Building a life beyond their absence. New friendships, new routines, new peace. Your story doesn't end because they walked away. 4. Boundaries of your own. The door doesn't have to stay forever open to someone who keeps slamming it in your face. 5. Grieving and letting go. You can mourn the child you raised and still choose peace for the adult they've become. All of it is allowed. Jung's final reminder. Carl Jung believed that every ending is also an invitation, a doorway back to your truest self. If your child walked away, it doesn't mean you failed. Sometimes people leave good parents. Sometimes pain makes people cruel. Sometimes healing requires space no one wanted, but everyone needed. And Jung would remind you, your worth is not determined by someone else's inability to see it. You loved them. You tried. Now, it's time to love yourself with even half the devotion you gave to everyone else. To the parents watching, what do you wish your estranged child understood? Your words may become the light someone else needs tonight.